promised, I would like to give the floor to our colleagues from APRE, who will introduce to you the first output of the project, which was focusing on the collection of good practices that could be integrated into the development of the rest of the materials. Nicola, please.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Nicola Soloperto. I work for APRE. I think you know better than me now what is APRE after the introduction of my colleague. And we are based in Brussels. APRE is an Italian agency, but we are based in Brussels. I was involved in the project only on the last stage, unfortunately. But it was really interesting because we hosted a trainee from Hungary, Jana, and it was a really nice experience for me as well, to learn what it means to train someone and be a mentor. So today I will present the project output number 1 that was developed by my colleague in Rome. So we are talking about the methodological guide. Three objectives, so it's really simple and straight. The first objective was to define and analyze the good practices in the field of training research managers. And to do so, we focused on countries performing better in terms of research, innovation, and educational programs. We were looking at, of course, funding. And finally, the third objective was to provide inputs for the foRMAtion educational program for research managers. So it was kind of a baseline to understand where to go then with other project outputs. The implementation steps were basically 3. So we started with a desk research, as I said, focusing on these better performing countries and analyzing good existing practices. Then we moved to implementation, and so we asked experts from the sector, like research managers, of course, but also trainees and trainers and professors in the field to review these best practices that were initially identified. And then we developed the methodological guide and translated it. Here is a brief overview of the timeline. We started in December 2019, and we ended with translation in April 2020. I was still a master student, but I have to say that I find it really interesting, and I will explain you why. This is an overview of the key players and stakeholders that were involved in the research, in the desk research. We contacted them. We tried to do indirect research, so learning from their website and available material online, but also trying to engage with them with interviews and questionnaires and exchanges. So the guide, I will tell you later, is available online, but these are the main conclusions. I was listening to the previous presentation from Spain, and I have to say that some of the conclusions are quite aligned to what it was introduced before. So we confirmed through this research that it's important to train potential research managers in higher education institutions with dedicated program, and that's something I can confirm because I'm doing this as a job here in Brussels, junior, of course. But when I was in university in Italy, I was looking for something like this, and I ended doing a master course in business. So as you can imagine, it's quite broad, even if I was really interested in research manager as a profession. Then the need to make research managers, administrators attractive as a profession, because maybe people would be interested, especially students, but they don't know what is it about. So we need in some way to promote this as a career path. And finally, we managed to identify knowledge and skills that students interested in the professional path should acquire through these programs. And then we have also identified 3 main recommendations. So as you say, the need to develop a dedicated educational program, either at undergraduate or postgraduate level, and the need to focus of improvement of necessary skills and competences. That's really interesting because usually when we think about the profession of research managers, we focus more on technical skills. So how to manage an audit, how to manage a financial statement. But actually, this is something I'm learning through experience. It's all about soft skills and the way you interact with researchers, the way you interact with scientists. They do not have necessarily the same mentality you have. So there is the need also to introduce this kind of soft skills in these programs. And finally, the need to recognize research manager administrator as a profession and have kind of a definition that is aligned throughout all Europe. It's quite clear to me what is a financial manager, for example, when I was in university, but research managers never heard about it. So it could be useful to have this kind of definition. And finally, the guide, yeah, it was the baseline, as I said, for other project activities, but it can also be useful to you if you are developing, for example, a training module inside your research institution. Here you have a really good overview of what's going on in Europe. So it can be inspiring also to understand how you can structure your training. And then if you're a research manager, that was really useful for me as a junior, let's say, to assess if your skills are, let's say, aligned with more experienced research managers, or if maybe you need to invest in some of the training maybe to get these skills. The guide can be downloaded from the website, and it's available in 5 languages. So I hope you can find it useful. So that was a quick overview of intellectual output number 1. This is our email if you have some questions. My colleagues are more expert than me on this, so they will be happy to answer you. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for the very nice overview. So thank you very much for the very nice overview. And I'm just wondering whether there are any questions in the audience addressing Nicola with regard any details or insights of this nice methodological guide, recommendations or findings. Yes, please.
What do you think this kind of training is better aimed to be organized within each institution, or to have an external institution organizing it based on a network approach for institutions?
That's a really interesting question. I would answer as a potential student of this training, and I would say maybe it could be better to have an European approach toward this, because you also need the interaction. I mean, we are talking about European funding, European research, so you also need to understand what it means to work in an international network, and the best way to do so is to learn with people coming from different countries. So in my opinion, that's something I would suggest, yes, to have a external could be educational institution dedicated to this.
Actually, as you will also see what we developed, it has this European approach, but thanks to the flexibility and the modular system, it is possible to adjust it to institutional or even national needs as well. But the colleagues will talk about the details more later on. But yeah, this was actually the approach and based on your findings. Any additional question?
Hi, I'm Magdalena. I represent Polish Academy of Sciences office here in Brussels, and I don't know if it is a good question for you or maybe for other colleague, but I just would like to clarify whether this training is only devoted to the research managers who are starting their career, or will there be a model for more advanced research managers as well?
Okay, so maybe I will answer to that. This is the second presentation about the module, but we will present what we have done so far. And the target for this foRMAtion course was bachelor students. So students that are not professionals, that they don't know yet the profession. What we are saying today, or I will explore this later on, is that the way that it was built, the course, is very flexible, so we can easily adapt it first more easily to early career, because you have this idea of still an introductional course. But we also at Nova University, where I'm based, we have already used some of the materials to research managers that, for example, are moving to different positions. So it's very adaptable, and this is the aim of the alliances, to understand and try to develop further the materials. Yeah. But for this time, it was targeted for bachelor students.